Šta radiš bre njegove, šta je ovo ljudi bre, daj nemojte me zezati, pa danas je s norveškim ambasadorom čovječ.
Danas?
Daj bre, nemojte ljudi, daj.
Nisam bre, mi samo par minuta bre, ajmo da bežimo.
Nemojte ljudi. Ko sad ti bre?
Šta radiš bre ti ovdje? Šta radiš bre tu pored mojih kola? Moja kuća, moje sve bre. Ajde bre, razguli, tu tavela. Ajde.
Ljudi, ne snimamo danas u ambasadi, nego u rezidenciji.
Ajmo malo koncentracija, dođite na mene. Odlično. Ti?
Može.
Može. Pravi to. Lagao. Može, ne? Može. Ajde bre, ovo da odremo kako treba. Aj malo ozbiljnosti, ajde.
Good afternoon. Today we will talk about something about entrepreneurship, and we have the pleasure to be the guests of the Excellency of Norway, the Ambassador of Norway. Good day, my name is Mlada, and we will have 3 topics for you about entrepreneurship at large. As we mentioned before, today we will talk about entrepreneurship with the Excellency, the Ambassador of Norway. My name is Vladimir Rakunjac. I'm Director of Engineering and Development in one young firm called Dronvertising. So we have 3 topics for you about entrepreneurship at large. I would like you to start and pose the first question. What is the main characteristic of a successful entrepreneur?
Well, it's difficult to say, but I think it's actually you need more than one actually quality. I think you need persistence, you need courage, and you need creativity. Also, you have to see a possibility. You have to be brave enough to take it, and you have to actually persist in and endeavor to actually succeed.
Okay, thank you. Whether risk should be appropriated as a normal phenomenon in entrepreneurship or always playing on, as we call it, a safe ball. What is the thing for that?
Well, it comes a little bit back to the first answer I gave. I think it's impossible to succeed in anything if you play completely safe. It's
definitely.
It's a saying that who dares wins, and actually you have to be courageous. You have to take risks, and even if you actually invest on the stock market, the higher the revenues, the more risk you take. But of course, the higher the loss you get as well. But you have to take risks. If not, you cannot be an entrepreneur, I think.
So we can agree that is the main thing.
Exactly. It's actually yes, but it's actually the condition.
The condition.
Because you also have to persist and actually try to succeed, and you have to have the idea to actually do it. So
and
that's why I say it's one of three things actually you need.
Okay, thank you. In your opinion, the best time to enter into entrepreneurship? The age,
I don't think there's actually kind of age group. I think you can start young or you can start old. Actually, when I went to high school, actually, a girl at my high school, she got this pretty queer idea. She had been in the US seeing actually that kind of a wallet, multicolored wallets, was very popular. So she was 16 years old or something, and she managed she actually managed to get actually the US company to give her agency for this in Norway.
It is quite successful story.
That was very fun. She was 16.
16.
But there are other people that
I'm jealous.
But the point is there is no age. There is no age, I think.
Okay. The next one. Is there a possibility for entrepreneur to come from all levels of society? And how important is the better education in that process?
Well, I think it's more about personal aptitude than actually from what part of society you come from. But I think to turn a little bit around from actually giving, I think the most difficult is actually if you have too much to lose when you start becoming, because you have to be a bit hungry, you have to want to succeed.
To be the
exactly, if you're actually, if you're born with money, why take risks? You have it already. So I think that's actually, I would say, Ron, you need to be hungry and try and want to succeed. So I would say you have an advantage if you come from a not too wealthy background. At the same time, I think education is important in the sense that actually the education system tends to be, in all countries, tends to be a bit, how should I put it, conservative. And educate people to go into, well, they follow the beaten track.
Yes.
And, exactly, and it comes back yet again to my first thing, you need creativity to actually succeed.
To achieve that.
So I think in some way, yes, you need education to do many things you could possibly do as an entrepreneur, but at the same time, education is also a kind of a risk because it boxes you in a certain sense. So education should actually be in a way which gives you the ability, but also actually give you the will to succeed.
And the will is locomotive of the success. How do you see fear of failure as the most paralyzing thing that stops young people from making the first step, the most important step?
If you're afraid of failure, you will not do anything. So actually, everyone will fail. The only way of avoiding having a failure or doing a mistake is actually not doing anything. We will actually figure that. So I think what's important is to actually be courageous, to actually take risks, as I said. Many people who are successful entrepreneurs, they have failed 2 or 3 times. And actually each time they learn a little bit for the next time, to do it a little bit better. You have to overcome this failure. Well, people have to overcome. If they want to succeed, they cannot let themselves stopped by a failure or a fear of failure. They just have to actually persist.
And to keep going.
And keep going.
Okay. This is the end of the first topic. The next one is about Norway's experience in entrepreneurship. So the first question would be, what are the programs that Norway has for young entrepreneurs, and what is the level of success at the same time? If you can give us some example of...
I think I can give a couple of examples because there are many different programs and they have slightly different definitions of what is an entrepreneur, but I think you have some training courses at some schools, universities, and typically you actually teach, say, engineers to actually start up their own activities. And as far as I understand, they seem to be pretty successful, actually, as programs. We have these research parks or a kind of system where actually you can if you have an idea, you can actually rent the space quite cheaply and you can develop your idea and get help in actually on the business management side, basically, from others. Exactly. And of course, there's always a failure rate, but that's business. But as far as I understand, the success rate is pretty good as well. Then we have, it's slightly different, 2 different kind of programs. You have one program which is not linked to age or anything, but it's linked actually to, it's It's to develop new industries in parts of Norway, typically, or among certain groups of society where it needs more economically, economic activity. To develop, and they are, as far as actually know, they have a very high rate of success in the sense of actually establishing small companies. But if the criteria is big companies, they tend to remain small. But it could be, for instance, take an example. It would be for someone who is very good at the craft to actually establish his own company. But he may
whether it's small, it is big.
Exactly. But the point is actually to create employment, to actually people self-employment. And then there is a program which I think is quite interesting, but this is again yet very different again. It's a kind of program for people who want to basically change their life or have been ill or want to get back into the labor market, but do not necessarily want to actually be employed. So they can have this kind of training to actually establish a company.
That is, for example, another path.
It's another path, and it's actually usually for people who have certain experiences. So say you have been trying to take an example, you have an engineer working company, you are laid off because of a crisis in the oil and gas industry, or because you, whatever it is.
You didn't satisfy the
exactly, and then you want actually to try for yourself, and we have a specific training programs to actually learn people how to set up a company. This is probably the program. I haven't found statistics, but as far as I know, they have actually not very high success rates. It's not. I think
it's not measurable by the number.
Exactly, but it's because they have some who actually succeed very well, but actually most people manage to get self-employed at least.
Oh.
But the point is stating and actually learning people actually.
And that is success by itself.
Exactly, by itself.
Okay.
But they may not actually be big businesses, but they still manage to get the job basically.
They make new things. Okay. How much is it necessary to change the collective consciousness of the Serbian society in order to bring together and help young startups, to bring those valuable things that will make the ecosystem of the startup? State of mind.
Exactly.
What is there to change, to be changed?
I think the biggest, to slightly turn the question against you, I would say that the biggest challenge, not only in Serbia but many countries, is actually nobody should actually expect help from outside. They should actually just do it. If you want to succeed, you have to do it yourself. And if you fail, it's your fault. And if you succeed, you can take the credit for it. The system should give incentives for people to try and to have initiative, who have courage to do it, and there should be some kind of support system so it's easy to establish a company. It's easy to get training and accounting and all these kind of things. I think what actually the biggest mentality change, and it's not only Serbia, it's a European problem, is actually people should actually have as an ideal to be employed, but actually to be an employer. So I think that's actually, people should you should see the ideal of being self-employed actually, rather than actually be, the objective shouldn't be to be employed.
To run something. How do young people in Norway experience entrepreneurship? Do you have some information about that? Or
well, we have actually...
What is the impact of your, I can say, policy? Or
well, well, to be honest, it's been quite mixed, because we have this attitude in many groups that they actually, like here, I think the ideal is to get a good job in a big company. People are willing a bit to actually, it's not, well, to take the risk of actually doing something on their own. Actually, I think many people, especially in some kind of educations,
they're not so eager to do that? Or?
No, actually, I think they're increasingly getting eager to start on their own. So it's a kind of a small trend, but it might not be as strong as it should be.
It is rising.
Exactly.
That is the main thing, the main figure. Next one, is it necessary to provide a young entrepreneur with working conditions or financial help?
Exactly, and to actually make credit available on good conditions, but not necessarily for free. You should, because if you do it too cheaply, you will actually undermine the others. So you have to find the balance.
It's not the main thing.
Exactly.
Okay. What do you think Norway has and Serbia should have when it comes to entrepreneurship and the promotion of its development?
Well, I'm a little bit familiar, and I know, for instance, Norway have been active previously in actually trying to support startups by this having places where they can establish themselves, get some assistance, and actually exactly these kind of things. And I think this kind of support is useful. I think it's important to find some way where perhaps if you have a very good idea, you can get credits on relatively good terms. But I think actually one of the things which should be looked into is actually, which has been successful in Norway, is actually the tax regulations as such.
What are the channels of communication if someone from Serbia wants to place the product of their entrepreneurship on the market of Norway? If I want to establish something new on your market?
Well, it depends on what kind of product it is. Ideally, this should go through either the Serbian embassy or but actually, when we talk about government support, but actually the best thing is actually to look at it depends on the product, basically. But
can the Office of Innovation Norway be expected in Serbia?
Well, we are trying to get them to open an office here for some time, but actually it's a matter of actually, it's a public institution, but they are funded basically through actually selling services, and they have, so far, are of the opinion that actually there is not market for the services. They will not be able to actually to earn enough to actually finance the office.
And the last one, in which sphere of entrepreneurship in Serbia do you see the possibility of achieving the best long-term goals?
Well, it's very
which kind of branch? Where is our?
It's a lot of potential in Serbia when it comes to agricultural products and actually making products which can be exported. I think there is a second great potential when it comes to everything with this engineering. Because Serbia has great engineers. I think there is a great potential actually in tourism. And when I say 3 or 4, the fourth is actually something which I think is kind of common for all this. I think actually Serbia has a lot of creativity, and actually
that is our card.
Exactly, the creativity is the kind of the success card.
Thank you for participating in our small project. I hope that we will make some changes in our society, in our state of mind. And once again, we are glad to hear your ideas for improving the entrepreneurship in Belgrade and Serbia.
Thank you very much and good luck. Talk to you at the Serbia. Thanks.
I evo konačno, ovo je kraj 3. epizode. Nadamo se da ćete biti uz nas i da čekate našu jubilarnu 4. Pozdrav od ekipe Dronvertisinga.